to Jake Jackets. Gear up to fire the cannon and hit the ice with your host, Jay Ashdown and Jake Gehringer.
I'm going to go back and do tomorrow. But I'm happy we're going to be able to do this tonight.
Am I? Talk about this gem of a hockey team that we got here in Columbus.
What a gem. Well, I will say we got a gem of a fan base because we're recording this on Fan Appreciation Night, right?
Which is strange because this is not the last home game of the season.
Right, because there's one more after this, which is the last one of the season. We got this, and then we go immediately over to Carolina, back to back with travel.
Then we got Tampa. Then we got
the whole southern road
Florida,
trip.
then Nashville, and then the last home game is Carolina, again at home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, why? Schedule? Why? Why you
strange. Yep.
Why you have to be mad? Oh my gosh, I'm a little out of it. Like, it's that whole we had that scare recently with the weather, like early this week.
Yeah, that affected you guys a hell of a lot more than it affected me.
Well, because for my city, it's like the 50th anniversary of this gigantic tornado that went through and just wrecked shop.
Jesus.
And like actually killed people and stuff.
Oh yeah, like a
huge, it was like an F5 or something.
Oof.
And so that happened, but thankfully the most I got was, just like a 20-minute thunderstorm, and then I got a rainbow out of it, which was nice.
Oh, nice.
Little picture of a double rainbow was cool.
Like everybody who doesn't live in Ohio that's friends with me, were texting me and they're like, hey, stay safe. And I was just like, yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, I'll be fine.
Yeah,
but
Kat was checking up on me, and yeah.
I did think to myself, how funny would it be if I had died? And the last text I sent to several people was like, yeah, I'll be fine.
I mean, that wouldn't be funny. Shit.
I think it would be kind of funny.
It'd be kind of funny, but dude, man,
I don't mean that in a morbid, it'd be funny if I died way. I mean, it would be funny in
the context of the text message. Yes.
That's what I'm shooting for here.
Yeah,
Jake.
yeah. I know that's you.
So me, I have a dumb sense of humor.
But then, yeah, so we didn't have an episode last week because we did the watch along. You can actually go to the network's YouTube channel. I might actually put it in the description too. We did a little watch along for Jackets Penguins with our buddy Lance. And that was kind of like a pseudo live episode, give or take.
Yes, unfortunately, I need to find out a solution for how I can charge my laptop while also recording, because I unfortunately had to pause in between intermissions to try and recharge, and then I missed half of the third period.
Yeah.
So, but no, still a fun time, even though the Blue Jackets once again lost to the Penguins in Pittsburgh, which is death taxes and the Blue Jackets losing at PPG Paints Arena. So,
man, I don't know what the solution is there.
I did appreciate, and we'll get into this in a second, that on April Fool's Day, the Blue Jackets pulled one of the funniest pranks of all time and imitated a National Hockey League team when they beat the Avalanche 4-1.
Right.
That was probably the greatest April Fool's joke of any.
That was a great April Fool's joke, right?
What if we just beat the Avalanche 4-1?
And then off the back of more Alex Nylander magic, and it was just I don't know, these last few games have been really fun. I'm sure we've got a lot that we can throw some kudos to with our Kepi Keeper here in a second. But I do...
You know which way I'm going with this Kepi Keeper, maybe.
I've got a couple of guys in mind. But yeah, I'm glad you enjoyed your first watch along too, because that was your first watch party with us.
It was. I really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun to do it because there's something so fun about being able to just kind of, it's relaxed. It's not organized, which is the way I prefer. Yeah, I'm not organized, and you get to watch a game and talk about different things that kind of come up. We talked about Zach Hyman
Yeah,
and
it's not like a strict play-by-play kind of thing, like which is what I
yeah,
like about it. Like I know
yeah,
some people like to do Jimmy likes to do it that way, and um Kyle to an extent kind of does, but like, we all have our own flavor of how we like to do things.
I would hate doing that only because you don't have the actual like screen up to see the game.
Right.
If there was a screen and we just had to keep it muted, that would be different. I'd be down for that. But
Right. And I do want to shout out Lance again for just being a good sport and hanging out with us and
yeah, Lance is
helping me with the tech side of things a little bit.
yes.
Because like again, I'm very rusty when it comes to actually running those streams myself, but I'll get there.
Yeah, you get there with more time and experience. So I appreciated Lance for doing that. That was a lot of fun. It was great to finally meet him too.
Right, yeah.
That was my first time interacting with him, and I enjoyed it.
Lovely man, right? Really chill dude.
Definitely.
But yeah, let's get to our Kepi Keepers by our buddies at DraftKings, like everything we do. Uh, and let's make it fast, kind of like how most of these last few games have gone. They've gone by really fast. Um, it's weird that we're like only 2 weeks left in the year.
Yeah, the season has taken forever to go by, and I'm kind of happy that it's over.
But it's like, wow, okay, so we'll do playoff predictions next week and some award stuff maybe, and we'll get there. But
Yeah,
like, uh,
definitely.
yeah, it's weird how like fast and not fast the season's gone. But hey, we still got a couple more weeks for you guys to put some bets in with our buddies at DraftKings, and you can
Hmm.
do it faster than anything on the ice. Uh, and all you got to do is sign up with our promo code THPN after you download the app. New customers can bet just $5 and get $200 instantly in bonus bets. Again, it's been a little bit.
I don't know why, but like the way I heard it was like if you bet $5, you can get 200 dogs, and I was like, that sounds like a great deal to me.
$5 for 200 dogs would be great, right?
Yeah. 101 Dalmatians have nothing on DraftKings.
Well, speaking of dogs, let's start with this Thursday game between our buddies, our favorite desert dogs, and this team that you're really not as mean as you should be about. So the Coyotes and the Sharks are going for this weird matchup between probably one of the worst teams we've seen
In
ever.
like modern history of the NHL.
Yeah, and surprisingly, the Coyotes, like the on ice product, has been really fun and actually improving.
Yeah, no, the team itself isn't like awful. They had a really bad stretch, but
Mhm.
aside from that, we're pretty good.
The money
So
line for that is a minus 185 for the Coyotes and a plus 154
plus
for the
154
Sharks.
for the Sharks is criminal. I'm sorry. I'm not betting the Sharks on any money line unless that number starts with like at least 240. That is such a bad team, dude. Such a bad team. I would
It's
hand.
crazy because they just signed that kid out of Quinnipiac and like,
Yeah, yeah. Graph, right?
yeah, yeah, they
County.
signed Graf.
Yeah, I think he's gonna be good, and it makes sense that he goes there because that gives him an opportunity to like absolutely immediately play
Well,
immediate.
get minutes, yeah.
Yeah, so good for him, but
Little
he's he's not helping the Sharks in this one. They're gonna get killed.
little east-west action between the Predators and our buddies in New Jersey. Money line for that is a plus 100 for Smashville and
Oh,
a
I'm
minus 120.
smashing. I'm smashing the plus on the Predators. Are you kidding me?
Man, ever since they got on that YouTube tear, it's like, what do you have against Bono? And I'm gonna bring it up every single
Dude.
freaking time.
But also, it's the fact that like the Devils like were considering trading for Yusei Saros for a little bit, and they decided not to.
Right.
So it would be the most Devils thing ever if when they played Yusei Saros, he just went off against them, and
That's right.
they scored like maybe one goal and
Mm-hmm.
lost. So yeah, I would smash Smashville on that one.
And then one more to go through just really quick. I know there's plenty to look at for Thursday and Sunday stuff, and Thursday, where you can tell where my brain is now.
Sunday, let's talk about Blue Jackets Hurricanes. Bet Carolina. They're gonna win.
Yeah, it's a minus 395.
Oh fuck me. A minus. Oh my god.
And a plus 310 for Columbus. I think we lost him, folks.
Oh my god, dude. They're so bad.
Well, half of our roster is monsters right now. Like that's
They were no good when they had guys healthy. They were no good when they had them.
Oh, it's crazy, bro.
God.
It's insane. The only like safe bet that I would put down is a good game for Alex Nylander.
Yeah, that would probably be the bet. Like maybe bet on him to get a point or get a goal. But outside of that, man, dude, good Lord.
And then the other one I want to talk about in the East really quick is Senators Caps, between one that's probably on the verge of elimination tonight, recording this, and one that is fighting out for that last wild card spot in the East that nobody really wants.
The verge of elimination. The Sens have been eliminated since November.
Well, yeah, but yes, and mathematically speaking,
mathematically speaking,
it's very funny how like whenever they get so close to actually getting mathematically eliminated, they become the Gretzky Oilers.
Yeah, they do this every year where like the bad start, people are like, why do we hype up this team in the off season? Then they like maybe like trade away a piece or two. And then when it's almost inevitable that they're going to get eliminated from the playoff picture, they go on a run and they look fantastic. And then they miss the playoffs. And people say, well, they were good in the second half of the season. Then they make a big splash in the offseason. And they're like, watch out for the Senators. And then the cycle just continues where they start off like shit the next year.
It's crazy. And then on the flip side of that, you have the Caps, which are like, do we even want this? Meanwhile, Ovechkin is still climbing the goal ladder. He's at 851 last I saw.
Yeah. Dude, we'll get into it later, but this playoff picture for the East is just sad.
It's that last wild card spot that's just like,
sad.
what are we doing?
That is money so depressing.
And the money line for this one is a plus 110 for Ottawa and a minus 130 for Washington. So that's a little more of a balanced pick for you.
The two nations' capitals, isn't it?
Yes, it is. DC and Ottawa. So you get a little
versus the Capitals, which is kind of a funny matchup if you're a hockey fan.
Little capital city clash.
Yes. I'm going to bet the Senators for that game because the Senators love to win meaningless games, and the Capitals apparently love to lose games that they need.
And Corpy really likes playing the Caps for whatever reason.
Yeah, his numbers are good against the Caps. That's right. Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah. No, I forgot about that. You're right.
And all you got to do to get in on this one is download the DraftKings Sportsbook app with code THPN. My mind just went blank. New customers bet just $5 on the NHL and get 200 instantly in bonus bets only on DraftKings Sportsbook with code THPN.
Yep.
Big breath in, big breath out. Here we go. The crown is yours. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.1800gambler.net. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or visit text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 plus, age varies by jurisdiction, void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. See dkng.com/hockey for eligibility and deposit restrictions, terms, and responsible gambling resources. NHL and the NHL Shield are registered trademarks of the National Hockey League. Copyright NHL 2024. All rights reserved. You can tell it's been a weird time for me.
Yeah. But, I mean, you think about it, though. Our friends at DraftKings, you cannot beat that deal.
No, you can't.
$5, 200 dogs. Can't beat it.
Yeah.
That's the name of the title of this episode, isn't it?
200 dogs? 200
dogs. I'm calling that now. That's what I want the episode title to be.
Okay, you got it. Do you want to go?
Oh my God. I just thought like he pulls up to the drive-thru. 55 burgers, 55 fries, 55 pancakes, 55 200 dogs.
Two number nines.
All righty. So right now
Oh my gosh, do you want to go first?
they're like 12 minutes into the game against the Flyers, and it's 0-0. Jack Reeves got the start. Last few games since we recorded, they beat the Penguins 4-3 in a shootout. They beat the Avs 4
On Rimmer night, which is the more important thing.
Yes, and we'll get into that. And then they lost to the Islanders 4-2. Jack Reeves had to come in relief of Daniil Tarasov. But in between these last two wins for the Blue Jackets, because it's paying attention to, I am going to go with elite number one defenseman Eric Branson. He had 2 assists
Really?
against. Yes, he had 2 assists against the Avs, and he was kind of all over the place. I thought he had a really good game.
It's so funny to watch the turnaround with you and Goody.
If you
'Cause, like-
play well, you get props, you know?
Well, because it's like, okay, so we talked about how much the contract is like, if.
Well, yeah, when we signed it, and I was like, oh, fuck me.
How
Like 4 by
gross,
4.
yeah.
Good Lord.
Right. And, especially after the last couple of years he had with other teams, especially paired with our other former number one defenseman, Jack Johnson.
Right. Right, yeah.
When they had some times in Pittsburgh. But
I wish I could have been like more present to enjoy the greatness of that defensive pairing.
but like in all seriousness, like this year, especially defensively, and we've talked about this, he's actually played really well.
He's been
blocking shots and getting in lanes, sticking up for guys.
But what's more interesting, like to me, is like not only like a lot of times you think of Eric Branson as a guy who blocks a ton of shots. Do you know how many shots he blocked in the game against the Avs?
Only a couple, right?
0.
He didn't. Okay.
The reason I think that's important is because the only thing that's a little flawed about the stat of block shots, if you have a lot of them, what it shows more than anything is that when you were on the ice, more often than not, play was in your
It's
end.
hemmed in your end, and it's
And that wasn't the case for Goodbranson against the Avs. They
Right.
faced a lot of shots in that game, but generally speaking, like they did a good job controlling things when he was out there.
And I did see one thing that like this is his career high in terms of points this year, 22.
Mhm.
So like he's actually turned it on this year more like offensively than he has in the past.
And it's not even close. His career high prior to this was 17 with Calgary.
Wow. Good on Goody. Like, yeah.
Yeah. Like I'm looking through it, like points. Like he had 13 his rookie year with Florida. Last year he had 13 with the Blue Jackets. That was that was tied for his second highest career total.
Guess what? It's 1-0, and guess who scored?
I'm gonna guess. Wait, is it fucking Eric Goodbranson?
Eric Goodbranson from Mikhail Pudia.
Way. No fucking way.
Eric Goodbranson from Mikhail Pudia and Justin Danforth.
Oh my God.
And congrats on Pudia. I think is that his first point?
It's got to be his first point,
That's
right?
got to be his first NHL point. Congrats for Pudia. I might just do that based off of that. Shit.
It is, dude. His profile picture, his like pic. Like,
I know he looks like so
fucking terrifying.
He looks like he took lessons from Brandon Tanev, doesn't he?
Dude, good Lord, that is terrifying.
It's hilarious. I love it. But no, unfortunately I'm not gonna give it to Pudia just for that.
No, you're just elite number one defenseman Eric Branson.
No.
No, there's other people who also deserve one.
There's a lot of guys that deserve kudos right now. Honestly, like even though like this season as a whole has been fairly lost, there's a lot of guys that have done extremely good work this year.
Yeah.
Um, let me just shout out Kirill Marchenko really quick because he is one that I wanted to say because that goal, dude, that goal he scored behind the net,
Oh, dude,
what a bank shot.
that was mean. It was mean of him to do that.
It was so rude, which is funny because he's like one of the nicest dudes on the planet.
Yeah.
But my actual Kepi is gonna go to Daniil. I'm giving it to Terry.
You can't argue it.
No, since what? Like like the start of February, he's been one of the better goalies in the NHL. He's like top 5 with a 935 save percentage.
Yeah. And he's looked really good. He looks
He's
the part.
looked
The
he's
numbers.
looked like he's been wanting to take the job.
Yes. He's
It's like
all the way up to a 908 save percentage, which on the Blue Jackets is impressive. Yeah, he's been great.
he's been unbelievable. I mean, like part of that is the lack of defensive structure where they consistently give up 40 plus shots a night to this kid.
Yeah. They really are throwing him to the wolves like pretty consistently.
How
You
many
know,
times, how many games, like within the last stretch of the last, I don't know, 5, has he almost broken his record for saves in a game? I want to say 2 or 3.
happening all the fucking time. Do you know what it kind of reminds me of? It
Hmm.
kind of reminds me of when Mackenzie Blackwood came into the league. And
Yeah,
like
you're right.
his numbers weren't like insane. They were just like, on the surface level, they looked solid in terms of save percentage and goals against average. But if you looked at it, he was playing on the Devils behind one of the worst defenses in the league, facing a ton of shots every night. And he was like legitimately keeping them in just about every game they played.
Right.
And that's a good thing because early on in his career, Mackenzie Blackwood was really good. The concern with Daniil Tarasov is we need to make sure that we don't do that with him, where it's happening so often that he, derails.
The
So often
confidence
dwells on
dips
that.
and everything,
Yeah.
like, just makes, yeah.
I don't want to see Daniil Tarasov on the Sharks in 3 years. He doesn't deserve that.
Well, I just don't want to see him break. I don't want to see him break down,
Yeah.
to be honest with you. I just don't want to see him like completely broken by year 3.
Yeah. Exactly.
So, yeah, it's going to Terry for just really showing up over the last few months. And it's nice to see, like, not that Elvis hasn't,
He hasn't been nearly as good as Tarasov.
he just hasn't been as good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, Elvis had his games. He's had plenty of games over the last
Yeah.
little bit.
He had a stretch where he was playing really well, and then it dipped, and now Terry's playing well.
So it's Terry's net right now. Well, actually, tonight it's not because we're recording this again during the game against the Flyers, and the goalie tandem is the Monsters tandem.
Start the Jets, baby.
Start the Jets, and then they actually have Malcolm Subban backing him up.
I completely forgot that we got Malcolm Subban.
I know, right?
That was kind of nice to see that. Like, just be like, oh yeah, he's a part of this.
Oh, cool. Hey, Malcolm. Yeah. I like it's kind of always fun to see Malcolm Subban just pop back up somewhere.
Yeah, and you're just like, oh yeah, you.
It's like,
You.
oh, you.
Alrighty. What else we got up on the docket today?
Oh my gosh, what do we have? We have. Should we just start with the Colorado win, or like the last game we talked about was like March?
Do we just want to skip maybe some of these recaps?
Maybe, I don't know. I feel like just overall, because it's like, so we had the loss to Arizona. Like that whole Western road trip was a wash.
It was a disaster.
It was a total disaster. Yeah, the loss in PPG, because I mean that's just demons.
Because that's a day that ends in Y.
That's just how that is anywhere. And then winning in the shootout after being comeback kids on Rimmer night, which was really special.
We could talk a little bit about Damon Severson's shootout goal. Did you see it?
It was so smooth.
Yeah. I was surprised that he took it. I didn't know he had that in him.
I don't know. Like, we know he's got offensive flair.
Yeah, I
He
just didn't
doesn't
know he had I didn't know he was like
like
that.
that kind of flair, right?
Brill almost pulled off the French poke, but he just poked it wide of the net.
Ah, see, that's why you needed Texier in there.
Yeah.
With
Well,
Kirill, you're just
Tex did take one. He scored.
with Kirill, you're just playing Russian roulette.
I like it.
Yeah, you like that?
Like it.
And that was on Jeff Rimmer night. We can't go without mentioning Jeff Rimmer night.
Yeah, what instead of doing recaps of the games, why don't we just talk about Jeff Rimmer?
Honestly, yeah. Yeah, we kind of should, right?
Recaps of games that don't matter don't mean much of anything, but Jeff Rimmer means a lot to a lot of people in Columbus. I mean, he's been the voice of the Blue Jackets for so long. Like when I first got into the Blue Jackets, he
He's
was
been the guy from the beginning.
yeah.
So it's going to be, it's a lot like um, Jeff Rimmer to Columbus fans is a lot like Rick Jenrette to Buffalo fans.
I don't know if it's quite as
It's
extreme just because,
no
50 years, but yeah, like just in terms of
the longevity of this one guy
and like
to this franchise.
it's the same in that this guy was there truly like what feels like from the beginning, and it
Right,
feels
and we know Jeff's had his other stops in other places, Florida, Washington,
yeah.
you know. So like he's had a really long, phenomenal play-by-play career.
So he first came to the Blue Jackets in 2004.
Okay.
So it's not like from the absolute like birth, but since like you think about it though, that's 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
20 years he's been here, and this organization is only 24 years old. So,
Right.
like he's
That's
for
a
a lot,
lot like Mike, right?
yeah, for a lot of people, like, when you think of the Blue Jackets, he's one of the first people you think of because he's been around for almost the whole time.
Right.
And he's
He's
called over 2,000 games.
some of the most electrifying calls
Yeah.
that we've ever heard in our lives. We can talk about the Foligno and Dubinsky playoff goals here and at the end of the show, because those were probably two of the most important goals that ever scored in this franchise's history.
No doubt about it. You think about like him being there since 2004. He was there to call the Blue Jackets when they finally made the playoffs for the first time in 2009.
Mm-hmm. You
When
have the vintage call of Rick Nash's signature goal against the Coyotes.
that one, like even non-Blue Jackets fans have that call just in their head.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah, his always just defaulting to nice move, but
yes,
getting
yeah,
excited and more.
yeah.
That's one of the tropes that I love about Jeff Rimmer is like he doesn't have the flashiest like vocabulary with it.
But there's something so great about that because it's not. I think sometimes people can be too overcomplicated with maybe some of their calls.
Mm-hmm.
It's something I think you learn, as you do it. Like I think some people do that in writing sometimes, and that's something I learned in college about writing is
Oh, believe me, as a writer, I know that all too well.
like you think like, oh, the best way to do this is to like sound as sophisticated as possible. Nobody wants to read that if you're just like
We've
bringing up
talked
the
about
most
this before. I
complex
feel like
word ever. Like no, like what's real is what people like. So
we've talked about this specifically the writing part before because I remember
mhm.
about this time last year, like when Rick was retiring, right? Or something. We were talking about something in regards to
I think it may have
writing.
been when Rick passed away.
Could have been, but it
Yeah.
was something like, when you're a writer, some people think like, oh, you need to use all these like exquisite and extravagant words and all these
Yes.
crazy descriptors and everything. And then like the post said something like, sometimes the best word to use is ass.
Yeah.
Right.
One people talked about this with Bob Cole when he was retiring. Part of what made him iconic
Marty
was
Brenneman too.
his ability to let the crowd call the goal for him, where he would like just say like scores or a goal, and then it would just be like he would be silent, and you would just hear the crowd go
Hear
nuts, and
everybody go,
get
yeah.
visuals and stuff like that. Part of being a great announcer is knowing when not to talk, and
Right.
I think Rimmer's done really really good at that throughout the course of his career. And you think of the people that he's worked with, and these last few years, even though the team hasn't been good, they've still provided so much. Him and Jody Shelley have been such a great team.
It is different with TV versus radio.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you're working TV, you have that visual element of it, so you
Whereas,
can back
yeah,
off and flow things. Whereas with radio, you need to consistently be communicating all the action that's going on.
right, like Mike Lang with the Penguins.
With Mike, with Bobby Mack, with Dylan,
Mm.
and we did mention this talking about. There goes Damo.
2-0.
2-0.
All right.
So we were talking about this when we brought up this discussion with Jeff, right? During the live stream, and you said Dylan Terry.
Yeah.
It might have been the last episode too. But like, go for if Dylan wants to do that, we're he's got two buddies that he can vouch with right here.
Yeah.
It is gonna be really weird though with Jeff gone, like who takes over.
I know we're a little biased when we say Dylan, but I think he
Yeah.
could do the job.
I mean, we did mention like Bobby might, and then
Yeah.
Dylan would take over the radio full time.
Because
Like
everybody just moves up a notch,
yeah, like if you want to go the full promotional route like that.
Yeah.
Other than that, I don't know very many people like from the outside sources like who could do it.
Yeah, like who's available, like who's free.
Exactly. It's
You know what I
not
mean?
like
It's not like
play-by-play announcers aren't like looking for a GM or like looking for a
yeah.
coach.
You don't go on cap friendly like who's available.
Who's a UFA this year?
Right. Yeah.
You know what would be kind of funny though?
What?
JD back in the booth. Put John Davidson back in the booth.
But he was color guy.
Oh, that's right. He was a color guy. That's right.
You just have two color guys doing it. I like that. Just have it be JD and Jody talking the entire time, and nobody calls the game at all.
That's what it sounds like with a Johnny Bench game on a broadcast. Like, not to disparage Johnny Bench as a former player at all, but like, dude, he cannot call games.
Yeah. Not everybody can. It's hard.
He
That's
can't.
why
He
like
can't
Jeff
analyze anything.
That's why guys like Jeff deserve their dues, because he's so good at it.
They need. I feel like what would be nice for a team, an organization like this in Columbus.
A statue.
Yes, but a somewhat like to take the mantle. I feel like a guy very similar to John Sadak would work.
Who's that?
Play-by-play for the Reds right now.
Oh, okay. Okay.
The guy that called Ellie's cycle and
yes, he is good. Yeah.
I love what John's been able to do over the last like year and a half.
Has he only been there for a year and a half, or?
I think 2. I think this is season 3. So
Okay.
I mean, they brought him in not too long after, everything went down with Tom.
Yeah.
So
what happened with him?
It's a long story.
I can't even keep a straight face.
No, and I don't think we need to go over any of that.
What do you mean? People were just freaking out on him, man. I mean, all he wanted to do was call a home run by Nick Castellanos.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did. Oh boy.
He was just enjoying the city of Kansas City, is all he was doing.
Sure. But yeah, Jeff Rimmer is just like really like, he's another one of those like staples of this franchise.
Yeah.
When you think about when you have a team that's been around for, I say only, but like, when you think about 24 years as a franchise, that's long enough to like cement yourself
Oh,
as.
dude, you think it like I'm not a math whiz, so let me pull out my handy calculator.
Mhm.
Okay. He's been around for almost 84% of this entire franchise's existence.
Right. He's
84%'s a lot.
It is. It is.
But getting back to uh the old Reds announcer,
Oh God, do we really want to talk about this?
Kansas City,
Ugh.
the cigarette capital of the world. What do you
Um,
do? You know what
no, I don't know what you're talking
I'll
about.
explain it later. Someone's gonna pick up on what I'm saying and they're gonna die.
Uh, at first I thought there was another I think you should leave thing.
No, we could get into the driving crooner. Did you see that the Mets did that?
No, I haven't been watching any games so far.
The Mets have their own, like in the stadium, they have like on the Jumbotron, they have a driving crooner cam. Do you know what the driving crooner skit is?
No.
It's I'll have to send it to you. It's like it's this business that Tim Robinson did in this skit where like
Mhm.
there's like a hat decal and a cigar
Mhm.
decal on your window. So when people drive by at the right angle, it looks like they're wearing
You're
hats.
actually like, wow.
So it's the driving crooner.
Wow.
So that's what they're doing to people on the Jumbotron is they're like putting a cigar in their mouth and a
Ugh.
hat in their head.
Wow.
It's so dumb. It's so dumb.
That
It's
sounds really dumb. It
even
sounds
dumber
like,
than you think it is, but when you watch it, you will die.
do any of these
Fuckers.
fuckers know how to call a hockey game? Well, a lot of them do.
Yes.
And Jeff's one of those special ones that, stuck with a franchise for an extremely long time and
Mhm.
became part of the franchise identity, right?
You know what the Tigers did is they poached Benetti, the play-by-play guy from the White Sox. So that's what we need to do. We just need to find a team that's in shambles like the Chicago White Sox and just poach their play-by-play guy. So all we need to do is just get the Coyotes play-by-play guy and
The Coyotes one I like though. Like him and Tyson Nash work really well together.
yeah, I like the Coyotes play-by-play guy. Let's get him, but not take Tyson Nash. He'll work even better with Jody because Jody's really good.
I will say, like, so yes, Jody needs to stay color because just like think
Yes,
about the kind of work that he does.
he's unbelievable at it.
Yeah. And then like, I don't know, because Grand Pierre is a great analyst with Brian in the
Mhm.
booth. Obviously, you have Mets doing rink stuff, and Mets is like perfect at that.
Yeah. The problem is if you don't get Tyre or anyone like Bob McGill,
Bob, yeah.
you don't get either of those guys to step up. It's not going to be someone who's in the organization right now. You're going to likely hire outside the organization for,
Right. And we just don't know.
yeah.
Especially with what's because didn't there's more Bally's, like there were updates on Bally's where it was like Amazon was gonna look into taking a stock or something. Like it's all still weird.
Have they been liquidated yet?
Bally's and Diamond? I don't know.
I can't wait until they do. Their app stinks.
Their app stinks, yes. Their app stinks, their layout stinks. The Chiron at the bottom of the screen is always like ew.
Yes, it stinks. I hate that that's the only way I can watch Blue Jackets games.
Yeah. But that's, um, despite all of that, Rick or Rick,
Rick,
I'm thinking Generate.
yeah,
Jeff is in that echelon, wouldn't you say?
yes, Jeff Rimmerette.
Jeff Rimmer, Mike Lang, Rick Generate. Um, I it's weird trying to think of tiers for hockey announcers, right?
Mhm.
Um, I still think like Doc is in a tier all on his own.
Yes, yeah,
Like
him,
that's just how it is.
and then it was Gary Thorne, and then you got like RJ,
Probably put RJ and Jeff
like
in there and Mike, right?
yeah, yeah.
So they'd be like, I don't know, tier 3-ish. But still, like
You
that's
know who I
how
think is gonna like be like as their career goes on because they're super young. Brendan Burke.
Brendan Burke is absolutely gonna be up there.
Oh, good. He's such a gem.
He's great. Um, I think there are, we're gonna get a lot of flack for like only tier 3. No, so here's the thing
I actually think we'll get flack for putting him higher than that.
for putting him high,
For he
for
might be
putting
like
for
four
putting him lower.
people. Yeah.
Or well, I don't know, because that's the thing with me thinking about this from a certain perspective is like think about it like the McDavid, Matthews, McKinnon kind of argument, right? Like they're all extremely number one type players. It's just like a weird 1A, 1B, 1C kind of situation.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I see this.
Yeah. At the end of the day, analyzing hockey announcers is subjective anyway. So
Yeah, and you
here's
know
our for debate.
you fall in love with the styles of calls that you grow up
Yeah.
with, and
But you know what? I appreciate all hockey announcers. So I'm going to be like Johnson and Johnson and say no more tears.
we're gonna wish Jeff
That was good. That
that
was, and you
that
know
was
it was good.
that was fine. It's
It was
fine.
it was good.
Um,
He was
we're gonna
great, I would say.
okay, Tony the Tiger. Just bringing all these random brand slogans in there, like
That wasn't even intentional.
I did like the shirts that they made. The shirts and the graphics and stuff for Remember Night were really cool.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
with his face in a cartoon.
yeah. And like they posted like that picture like as their profile picture on Twitter.
Yeah, it was super cool design. They did great. Um, and all the best to whoever takes the mantle, right? Because you got big shoes to fill.
Yeah. Speaking of shoes, did I show you what I got?
Oh gosh, do I want to see these?
Yes.
We're not gonna
Yeah.
get age
Rec
restricted.
slippers.
I didn't know if we were gonna get age restricted for this or what.
No, they're Shrek slippers.
Wow,
And they're comfy as hell.
that's such a you thing.
Yeah.
That's so you. Oh my god,
Chilling in the slippers.
the slippers. We do it in the slippers.
uh,
Oh no. I got a question for
Buddy
you.
once told me.
I got a question for you.
Yes, yes.
Do we know who wants this last wild card spot at all?
The answer is fucking nobody wants this. Dude, we historians need to investigate and like just do as much research as possible on how the New Jersey Devils are
Yeah.
not going to make it to the playoffs in this season, in which this playoff race has been so pathetic at the bottom.
Let me. I gotta try to find this
Nobody
Discord
wants
message.
this playoff spot. Nobody.
Nobody does. No, it's crazy because, like, okay, so looking at this from a wild card standing perspective, all 3 of the top 3 spots in the Atlantic are clinched.
Yes.
Boston, number 1 with 107 points. 15 of those coming from overtime losses, by the way, which just goes to show you like how much they're mooching off of overtime.
Yes. Oh my God. This season especially is driving me up a freaking wall with the goddamn loser points.
The loser points are like just
Out of hand.
how?
Out
Yeah.
of hand.
It's ridiculous. And we'll get to the Metro in a second too. Florida, 102 points. And the Leafs have 95 for the top 3 in the Atlantic.
Yeah.
And then the Metro, which third place in the Metro isn't even clinched yet either.
Yeah.
Which is the crazier part to me.
Got the Capitals, Penguins, Flyers, all competing.
The Rangers have 108 points. The Hurricanes have 103. And the Islanders, the Penguins, the Flyers all have 83, and the Caps have 82.
It is insane with this playoff format that it is more advantageous to be the 2 seed in the Metro division than it is to win the Atlantic division.
Like, bruh.
Like, that's ridiculous.
So, like, Tampa has number 1 wild card clinched already.
Yes.
They have 93 points.
Yes.
The second wild card team in the East right now, which is Pittsburgh, holding that spot.
Yes.
10 points behind them.
Yeah. It is objectively hilarious.
There's a 20-point gap between 2 and 3 in the Metro / WC2.
You know, it would be so funny for the Penguins to make the playoffs after trading Jake Gensel.
Well, we talked about this on Discord. It was like, yeah, that would be a crazy revenge tour. Like Sid's just because Sid's been on a fucking tear.
If they make the playoffs, there's no reason he shouldn't be at least like top 4 in Hart voting.
Exactly. Because it's like Sid has just been on a mission to be like, I guess I just got to do this myself.
But I do think the Hart's going to go to Kucherov.
Could. I will say that it's been very fun to see Michael Bunting thrive with Evgeny Malkin.
It is very funny that he is, yes. I agree.
It's pretty cool because like
Dubas just needed his guys.
Yeah, we know Dubas loves
That's
his
the
guys.
narrative I'm going to be running with just to make people mad.
We know Dubas loves his guys. Come on.
Yeah.
I want to see like if they win the Stanley Cup, you know what I want to see?
What?
Dubas and Bunting together taking the cup to Sault Ste. Marie, and they're just joined by Jumbo.
Strange fantasy you have because it begins with the Penguins winning the Stanley Cup.
And they're just joined by Jumbo, like for Sault Ste. Marie reasons.
Matt Murray shows up. Fresh off of the Leafs payroll.
Dude, Matt Murray actually could come back soon enough to play games.
He's not playing again.
I don't know. But it's like this wild card race is just, whoa. Because Buffalo has 79, Detroit and Washington have 82. There's, they all have plenty of games left. They all have like 5 to 6 games left in their season.
They're only 4 points out. And I'm just saying, the one that I think would be very funny would be Buffalo.
It's so crazy to me because it's like nobody, it's like, just looking at it, it's like nobody wants it.
Washington.
Because what would that mean? You would be playing Boston, right?
Yes, whoever gets this second wild card
is that Atlantic one?
Well, it's not determined. They're likely playing the Rangers. The Rangers are likely to get the number 1.
Ooh, and that I wouldn't want to do that either.
Yeah,
especially with Shesterkin regaining form.
Oh yeah, dude, the Rangers
and then
a top out.
And then for whatever reason, if Shesty gets hurt, then you still have to deal with Jonathan Quick.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to play that. Are you kidding me?
It's a tough team. It's a really
It's a
good team.
really good team.
I mean, they have
Oh,
so
man.
many elite players like Artemi Panarin, Jack Roslovic, Alex Wenberg.
Alex Wenberg.
Just
Jack's actually okay. To be
Just-
honest with you, Jack's been playing pretty damn well. And
I
so is
have
out. Like they've been fine.
7 points in 15 games for Jack, and that's with 2 goals. That's
It's decent.
yeah, no, that's it's not like bad
It's
production.
like
but
it's like
that just
Jack in
shows-
his role. And,
that's Jack. They traded for Jack and they got Jack.
yeah.
How's Alex been doing?
Not full. Okay, here.
Goal
this is
and
that.
4 assists, 5 points in 14 games for Alex. Not bad.
So I asked earlier this afternoon. Okay. So this guy says, I just checked. This will likely be the season with the fewest points required to get a spot in the East since they added wild card spots, not counting shortened seasons.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Not on a full 82 game. I said, didn't a team over the last decade or something have only 80 something? And they said, not on a full 82 game season, as far as I can see. And then I talked about how you split up eras, how you particularly split up eras where it was like 95 to 04, and then we had the post lockout till 13, and then we had 13 to 20, and then we have, like we had
Like COVID has become like the
like BCE means before COVID era.
like to me, I split it up by lockouts, and
Yeah.
COVID itself was almost strangely like a lockout.
Exactly.
So it just gets lumped in there with the other lockouts.
So I'm reading, and I'm gonna shout this guy out. King Sea Otter. That's a hell of a Discord username. I like that. 13-14. And this is, lowest points for a team in the East to clinch.
Jackets made the playoffs that year, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
93 points.
Mm-hmm.
14-15 was 98. 15-16 was 96. 16-17 was 95. 17-18, 97. 18-19, 98, which I believe was us because we were the last ones to clinch that year.
It was, yeah. It clinched in New York, I believe.
Right. 21-22 was 100 points. Whew. And then in 22-23 was 92. And currently Philly and Pittsburgh 83. So it could be.
And here's the thing, the max that the Flyers could get, I think, is 93.
Right.
So it's like if you're looking at these teams, if they were to just purely win out, it's lower than those totals that you just said.
So it's just like, does anybody want this? It's like,
No.
Because like, what's a good comparison in terms of like just making a joke out of it? Like going for, I don't know, the last piece of cake or something that's been sitting in the fridge for a couple of days.
Like I said, like
You're just staring at it like, does anybody really want this?
Think about the teams that we're discussing, though. Okay.
Washington, Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, Detroit,
And
Buffalo.
Buffalo has not made the playoffs since 2011.
Mm-hmm.
Detroit have not made the playoffs since I believe 2016. And
15 or 16.
They've been rebuilding for quite a while, and a lot of people weren't sure if they were playoff ready this year.
Right.
Capitals, a lot of people thought would not make the playoffs. They're an aging group.
Yes.
Penguins missed the playoffs last year for the first time in a long time. People questioned
Aging group.
Aging group. And nowhere in this discussion did you list the 52 wins from a season ago, the New Jersey Devils.
Right.
What a disastrous season for them.
That it's such a weird drop off. Like it's not even that it's a weird drop off. It's such like it feels so uncharismatic for what this team is built up to be.
I mean, I figured they would drop off a bit because
Yeah.
they lost Andrew Brunette, they lost Damon Severson, they lost Ryan Graves. But I think we are seeing this season, especially with Nashville and how good they are, just how important Andrew Brunette was because Travis Green was respectable name.
He's a fine coach,
and they fire Lindy Ruff because things aren't going well with Lindy. And they do not get the coaching boost that you get from firing your head coach at all. They've arguably been worse under Travis Green.
It's weird, especially because they go out and they trade VTech to get Jake Allen.
Well, they traded him for Kakkonen.
Well, yeah, they trade to get Kakkonen, and then they trade to get Jake Allen.
Because they needed to do something to upgrade in that because goaltending was just so brutally bad for them.
It's that bad.
But they can't afford to not get this head coaching position correct.
Well,
last season. And it's funny.
That's another little tie at the hip that we have with our Devils buddies, right?
Right. And what's funny is we mentioned the possibility of, if Mike Sullivan gets fired, there's no fucking chance in hell.
No, he's not going there.
Mike Sullivan's not going anywhere. He's staying in Pittsburgh because they might make the playoffs again.
Because they could actually, yeah.
They sold at the deadline. They traded Jake freaking Gensel. And here they are with a shot of getting there. Good Lord.
And that's it's crazy because of just how much digging Kyle Dubas actually has to do to dig out of the hole that Hextall dug.
That's what I said. That's why I said it. I know they got Crosby, Malkin, Tang, all these pieces. We know what they do.
But Carter and the Raquel extension at the bad time, and Riley's, there's a lot of weird contracts that just can't. What do you do?
They don't have any prospects. They don't have a ton of cap space. They don't have much assets to work with. And
there's no room for error.
That's why I said I don't think the Penguins are a great job for Kyle Dubas.
There's no room for error with the Penguins. There's maybe some room for error with the Capitals because they'll go as far as Alex can take them. And they have young guys in there and they have good pieces.
There's no room for the Capitals because there's less expectation.
Right. And then the Flyers came out like a bat out of hell because
Flyers were supposed to be ass this year. They were supposed to be like the Blue Jackets.
Yeah, and look at what a Torts team in Philly does.
I'm gonna be so sad if they don't make the playoffs, though. If they collapse at the end and miss.
And then you bring in the tallest goalie we've ever seen, and Ivan Fedotov to fix the goaltending, and oh my god, I love this kid already.
I'm excited for him. He did not do that well the other night, but
you just look at the PR that he's brought in.
Yeah.
Woo!
You bring him in hopefully for good vibes.
I loved his whole thing about not switching nets, and Sorokin was like, "Hey, did you see that?"
No.
He didn't switch nets for overtime, and Sorokin just kind of skated up to him and was just like, "Dude, you need to come on." He's it's absolutely. And there's that picture of him standing
he's the
back.
new guy.
There's that back shot of him in front of the net, and it's just half of his body is extended above the crossbar, and it's whoa.
Jesus Christ.
There's that graphic of all the really tall goalies over the last few years with him topping the list, and then there's Koskinen and Bishop and Matt Sogard and all these super tall 6'7" dudes.
Yeah.
But Fedotov is officially 6'8". Bro.
Good Lord.
And yeah, they've been playing exceptionally. especially like guys like Owen Tippett. And, you get really good showings out
Oh
of him.
yeah, and Konechny's at the top of his form, and
Morgan Frost has been really good. Cam York.
it's unfortunate that Cam Atkinson has not had a good year.
Yeah.
That's a tough one.
And then we did talk about the weird circumstances with Couturier not playing well and then getting named captain and all that stuff.
Yeah, I mean,
And then you had the whole thing recently with Torts, whatever the hell went down this last tirade. Something about I think there's just still a weird disconnect between him and Danny going on.
Yeah, I'm interested in seeing how that's resolved, because at the end of the day, the thing that people need to remember was that Torts was not Danny's pick.
Right.
So it is always difficult as a head coach when another regime brought you in. So
we'll see what happens, and
we'll see what happens, because there's no fucking way in hell you can predict who's going to make the playoffs here.
Right.
Just the team who makes the playoffs and gets that final spot might only get 3 points in their last 5 or 6 games to get there.
It's
all good. Teams do not want to win.
It's going to make gearing up for predictions really fun.
Because what's funny is every year it feels like there's a team that's soaring into the playoffs. They get that final wild. That's what happened with us. We soared into that final wild card spot.
Came in really hot.
Came in hot. We take down Tampa. You look at Florida, what they did last year, coming in hot. They take down Boston, come back. They go all the way to the Stanley Cup final. Look at the Predators in 2017. They did the same thing. Swept the Blackhawks.
Sharks were really hot in 16, and Caps were so hot in 2018 that they finally slayed their Pittsburgh demon.
I'm just speaking specifically to wild cards.
Right, but the same principle applies. If you go in hot,
get hot, making it into the playoffs. I can't remember the last time we saw a team just fucking crawl and just barely get into the playoffs in that final.
Then turn on the other gear.
You can't. So if you're the the Rangers and the Bruins here, those teams are going to be battling hard to get that spot, because that's a good matchup for the first round if you're facing a team that's not in full gear right now.
Right. If you're coasting, what's worse? If you're coasting or if you're, grueling your way through it?
I would say grueling your way through it. You're coasting. I think it's easier to turn it on in the midst of coasting than it is when you're almost in free fall. But on the flip side, that's the thing. Turning it on when you're coasting, it's harder to do that than to turn it on when you've already been, turning up, heading into the playoffs, and that's why we see these upsets. So,
but then we also know the President's Trophy curse is weirdly a thing, and
yeah, the President's Trophy curse is a thing, but I do think that whether it's the Bruins or the Rangers, whoever gets that top spot should have no problem advancing past the first round, because you couldn't get a better draw, no matter who it is.
Right. We'll just have to wait and see. We got about a week to find out.
Yeah.
Week and a half. And now we turn our attention to the desert, because I believe the initial thing was there was a rumor that Maruello was looking at somebody take my team.
Yeah.
I don't know how much credence there was to that rumor, but then Craig Morgan did come out and say something like it was kind of just a rumor. But there wasn't really any credibility to that. And then the Coyotes Twitter was just like, hey, here's the plan. And they tweeted and pinned this whole thing that was just like, this is what we plan to do.
Coyotes Twitter is maybe one of the wildest accounts on.
I love them so much.
They're unhinged because they're.
You want to talk about the thing that you told me?
No, only because I don't know permission wise if I should.
Fair enough.
But All I'll say is I know who the Coyotes Twitter admin is. It's not Marijuelo's son, like some
Wink,
people
wink.
complaining. It's not. It's someone else, but an admin of another team. Like
Yeah.
they be an admin of another team, and now they're doing the Coyotes, which is not easy. I imagine. I imagine it's very hard to be the admin for the Arizona Coyotes. Um,
Anyway,
yes, uh, especially after you come from another team,
right.
because there's so much strange stuff going on about the team, and like a lot of teams are pretty like guarded with their information. Like you don't see a ton of stuff from like the Oakland Athletics on their
Oh my
Twitter.
God, Damon scored again.
Elite.
So, all right. What I'll say about this is, that's the whole reason why we haven't brought it up and brought it up and brought it up like the SDP guys, even though we do, it would be kind of funny to have a bit like that where one of us just gets up and leaves every time.
Yes.
Um, but it's like we wanted actual information on it.
Mm-hmm.
So we know that this auction isn't until what, like June or something.
Right.
But now we know that they have a whole plan for what the plot of land is going to look like and what the district is going to look like if they get this bid.
Mm-hmm.
And the minimum bid is $650 million.
Can you repeat that figure?
$650 million.
Fire everybody.
That is the minimum bid.
I think Arizona fans know.
Which, let me be clear, like I believe Marijuelo has enough money to cover that.
Yeah. Understand where Jake and I are coming from here.
Mm-hmm.
Just where I'm coming from. I'm not going to speak on your behalf. Because we believe in Arizona as a market. We believe in Coyotes fans.
We want this to succeed for them.
I'm at a point I would rather they just move the Coyotes and put Arizona at the top of expansion.
Give them a second chance franchise.
Yes, move the Coyotes and you'll be at the top of our list for expansion the next time we expand. But you get a team only if you can have a plan ahead of time.
How many times have we brought up like, oh, they have a plan now, and then it falls through? And
Like they just don't. You need someone, and that's why I think expansion would work well, because in order to
it depends on the group.
it's a group coming together. They have to put in their bid,
Mm-hmm.
and you're not going to do that. Put in like a $400 million bid or whatever it is.
How much money? I'm
Because
sorry to cut you off.
I don't know how much it is, but you're not going to spend X amount of dollars on a bid to get an NHL team if your plan is our team is going to play at Arizona State for 3 years. No.
How much money did the Senators just go for when Andlauer bought them?
Went for a lot. They went for a lot.
I think they went for just shy of $1 billion, right? It was like 900 something mil. That's the Senators.
Nearly $1 billion.
Yeah. And like I said, the minimum bid, the first number that you need to hear for this plot of land is 650 mil. So they could do it. And it's a plot. The weird thing is it's a plot in Phoenix.
They just won't.
It's a plot in Phoenix, and we know how much like there's all the political aspects of it with the city, and
they have such a
like they
bad
got
relationship
with the actual city of Phoenix.
Yes, they just don't have a good relationship with anybody that they need to rely on. And that's why I think if you were to do relocation for them and then just say, hey, when expansion comes, you're getting your team back, it buys you time and it allows you the opportunity to bring in a group has a genuine interest in building hockey and making it work in Arizona, and they can create a positive relationship off the rip with the city.
So would this be like, so what you're proposing is similar to what happened with the new Jets
Yes.
after the original Jets left to go to Phoenix.
Yes.
So we're just continuing this cycle of like.
It is funny that would continue the cycle, especially if the relocated Phoenix team went to Atlanta. The story comes full circle.
We have the Coyotes move to Atlanta to be the Thrashers again, and then a new expansion Coyotes comes in. Like,
yeah, could you imagine how funny that would be?
Whoa.
Dude, that I feel for any new hockey fan if that happens.
For someone like me,
they're like, wait, the Jets became the Coyotes, who became the Thrashers, but the Thrashers
just became the Jets after the Jets became the Coyotes.
Jets became the Coyotes.
No, that's already giving me like weird like so Always Sunny in Philadelphia corkboard vibes.
Yeah,
like
yes.
It's like Charlie, like wait.
No, I need that. I think it'd be a lot of fun. For me, personally.
Yes.
But no, I feel for Arizona fans because it's a passionate fan base. There's good fans there. And they're like Oakland fans in that, the reason that, the numbers don't pop off the screen when you look at attendance is because they've been given and fed nothing but shit for decades.
And you look at what their on ice product is like. You look at the players that they're able to get. You get decent young talent.
Mm-hmm.
You have Logan Cooley lighting it up. You have Clayton Keller that's like, please.
Now they are.
But like, and now you got Josh. Like you have the son of the dude that originally saved your franchise in the first place.
Yeah, like don't get me wrong, they have pieces now, but I'm more so specifically referring from 2015 until 2020.
Right. That 5-year stretch where it was just like, what are we doing here?
Oh my God. It was like first line Mikkel Bodker. Like, you know what I mean? Like it was just
Wasn't it like Bodker, Hansel, like it was some combination. It was Bodker, Hansel, Doan. Like, what are we doing? What?
They're such a bad team. And like on top, like it's one thing to be
and
bad.
I like Bodker and Hansel, and like I like those players. They were all fun players.
Top line though.
No.
It's one thing to be bad. It's another thing to be bad and have a dark cloud of uncertainty hanging over your head. That's the difference.
When your second line
difference between where the Coyotes were at in like 2015 trying to rebuild.
When your second line right wing is Radim Verbata and your like second pair left D is still Rusty Klesla for whatever reason.
Where we are right now is very different from where they were because we don't have this uncertainty hanging over our heads. Are the Jackets going to be in Columbus?
No, there's no like Gary Bettman made sure that like there's no way that this team is moving.
We're fine.
This is totally stable here.
It is stable. So that like
we're selling out games with like a last place team like 12 times a year.
Yeah, like, things are stable here. There's no concerns. And I would argue that part of the reason that we're able to sell out games, even though the team's been terrible, is because there's at least stability here.
And that gives you the ability to sell hope.
That's what I was just about to fucking say. You can sell the concept of hope to the people because of the players that they can theoretically get through this upcoming draft and also some of the young prospects they already have now.
Look at the guys that we've got Adam Fantilli and David Jiricek and really talented young guys.
And Kirill Marchenko
and Yegor Chinnikov.
Igor Chinikov.
Which,
You know,
by the way, I did
that's
want to
still-
mention this at some point because of Fan Appreciation Night. You know what they're doing?
what?
Nesting dolls with all the Russian players.
Oh, that's fucking cool.
And you know what the best part is?
Really cool.
You know what the best part is?
No.
Kirill is the biggest one,
As he should be.
and Dimitri's the smallest one.
I would think.
I
It's
think the
fun-
size goes like it's
Yeah.
Kirill, and then you open it up and it's Ivan, and then it's Yegor, and then yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, like don't get me wrong. I hope the best for Arizona fans, but it's just right now this is a disaster, and at some point the league needs to move on, not from Arizona, but from this mess.
Do you think the league tries to just take it back one more time?
I
And
like I'm telling you what I would personally do. I have no doubt in my mind that the league's just going to keep doing everything they can.
just
If
like
we
it,
won't
just
do
hold
it-
on to it themselves, like no, this is
Yeah.
owned by the league until we're able to get somebody that actually wants to keep them here.
Yeah.
Well, I shouldn't phrase it like that because Maruella wants to keep them there.
The problem is you keep getting owners who want to keep it there that are not good at being owners, and they're not good at, creating legitimate plans
Right.
to fruition with locations that are hard to negotiate with.
Yeah.
The reality of the situation, Jake,
It's a
and this-
very strange political kind of situation.
do you know what's really unfortunate about this?
Hmm.
The real solution for the Coyotes would have been you need to get a really rich owner,
Hmm.
a Stan Kroenke or someone like that. I know he
Right.
owns like the Avs, but
Yeah.
you need to get the reason I bring up Stan Kroenke. Do you know how much taxpayer money went into SoFi Stadium in LA?
No.
Zero.
Right.
All owned by all that money was funded by him.
Wow.
You need an owner who is willing to go to Phoenix or whatever and say, I'm buying this land and I'm building this arena myself.
Right. So
And there's
like
no
that's what's
taxpayer money coming into this. I
it
am
feels
doing
like what's going on
I
with the
need a
Chiefs
permit.
right now.
Yes.
Feels like a similar thing with the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Right? Because didn't that bill just fall
Yeah.
because they wanted like 96% taxpayer funds? And it's like, what the hell are you talking about?
They're trying to figure stuff like that out right now for Cleveland too, because the Browns want a new stadium. And
Right.
a big question about that is how much taxpayer money is going to go into that. The reality is if this current Coyotes organization is going to stay in Arizona and work, you need a rich owner, a really rich owner
Like
who's going to just fund it himself.
you need like a Jets level of wealth to where nobody cares about
Mhm.
how much actually they have in net worth.
Mm-hmm.
You do.
Yeah. That's the sad reality, because that's the only way I see this working as of right now. Because that's the situation. Like the city of Phoenix, the only way I see this working right now is if someone comes to them and says, "We're buying this land, I'm funding it myself."
Everybody likes to talk about, oh, eat the rich, eat the rich, eat the rich.
Yeah,
And that's, that's a side of it.
because it helps the people out. you
Yeah.
know?
But in a situation like this, you do kind of need someone that's a bit more of a order in order to put that
In the world
forward
of
into the
sports.
world.
In
Yeah.
the world of sports, absolutely. I've always been under the opinion that if you're going to own a team and you're going to profit off that team,
Hmm.
dude, pay for your own fucking stadium, build
Right.
it yourself. That's the way to do it.
Uh,
Think about like how much more the teams can profit if you do that, because you're not worried about funds, going to the city.
right. The only revenues you're getting from your city are what you're getting out of
Yeah.
your gate.
You don't have to worry about revenue sharing with the city because of the taxpayer money.
Right.
Like that's why like LA and SoFi Stadium, like
Welcome to Sports Financial Corner. Like, geez.
they're dude. Yeah. Yeah, I'm rambling. I'm rambling.
It's okay. What I will say to put a bow on it,
Mm,
this better be the last, like, this is be all end all in
yes.
terms of this better work to keep the team here.
And if
And I,
it does,
I hope it does.
I hope it does too.
Like,
I hope people don't
I think it
don't
will.
yeah. I hope that
Because
people are misconstruing that. I want it to work in Arizona.
right,
I believe in it.
I feel like right now they are the only bidder right now too. So hopefully,
Yeah.
anyway, yeah, we want this for our Coyotes fam
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
because contrary to how we talk about them and joke about them, like we love this team. We
We joke
legitimately do.
about the people we love.
Yes. Why else do you think we're making so much off each other's expense?
Yes. Exactly.
Now the last
200 dogs.
200 dogs. That's right. For $650 million.
Another defenseman scored.
Oh no. Who
Yes.
was it? Was it Eric?
It was
Ivan? It was Blanks?
Yes.
Hell yeah, it's Blanks. I forgot that he came up because of the bean injury.
Yeah.
Like that's the reason, and I
So
forgot
4
that's why.
goals, all by defensemen.
That's awesome. That's actually really fun. And the last thing is Jackets related because this last Friday we had a special anniversary.
We did.
As you can see, I'm wearing my Kivy hat,
Mm-hmm.
brought to you by 614 Hockey and our buddy Matt Pfeffer.
Mm-hmm.
So how do I want to set this up?
However you like. You lead the way, baby.
First of all, I think it's insane that you and I have known each other for basically a decade.
Not basically. It is a decade.
It's exactly a decade, right?
Exactly a decade now. Yeah. We've known each other for 10 years.
Amazing. And we've been doing a show for 30% of that.
Yeah.
And that's what gets me really weirdly sentimental about this whole fifth line anniversary thing. As cheesy as it sounds.
Yeah.
So I have this tweet from 614 Up again. 1 decade ago, the fifth line began. On April 5th, 2014, a few energetic hockey fanatics rallied the Blue Jackets fan base under a declaration of solidarity to the rest of the NHL. We are the fifth line. Everyone embraced this energetic and organic movement, from the front office to the players to the whole city. It helped galvanize a franchise to the Stanley Cup playoffs, bringing some of the most memorable moments in CBJ history. Thank you to everyone for the past 10 years and for continuing to push our hometown team being the fifth line for our Columbus Blue Jackets.
I remember when I went to either game 4 or game 6 of the 2014 playoffs when they hung the banner. Like they wrote, like after the anthem,
the first banner, right? The big white one.
We are the fifth line, and how unbelievably loud that arena was. I will never be able to forget how incredible it was. There's something so special about playoff hockey, man. There just is.
So this all started with two of our buddies, Matt being one of them, and Jordan Mills
Yes.
being the other.
Yes.
Out of the two core guys of like 6. Because we wouldn't have had the fan outreach on Twitter throughout that whole 13-14 season if it weren't for the CBJ Artillery page even starting.
Oh God, yeah. You know, they help normalize going to the Cannon for meetups between Twitter mutuals,
Hmm.
which is quite literally how you and I met, and
That's how we met Ellie and Dylan and
Jake, or I said
J-
Jason Greenberg.
Jason
Yes.
and Boomer and all those guys. Matt, of course.
Uh,
Warren,
Matt.
Danny.
Yeah. Danny. Yeah.
Eventually, Matt. I do need to
It's,
meet. I do need to meet Matt again. We do need to meet Matt again one of these days.
yeah. It's funny you think about the passage of time. Like I remember first time like I met Danny, and it's been so
Mhm.
long, and now she's getting fucking married.
Married to Kyle and
Like, good God, like how crazy.
right, and
I
like
know.
it's yeah, and then there's some like a lot of stuff was happening. We were both going through college,
Yeah, and the only time I
right?
could see the Blue Jackets was when they were up in Buffalo.
Right. And it's just it's so crazy to me the kind of weirdly close friendships you can get even in a crowd that big.
Hmm.
Because
Yeah.
you look at the artillery now,
Yeah.
hundreds and hundreds of thousands of followers across all their platforms. One of the bigger Columbus podcasts that we have, right?
Hmm.
Um, Obviously, you have Jordan and Warren and Kyle and all those guys doing things like now with the team, and Danny's basically a team photographer.
Yeah.
Um, and then when Matt branched off to do 614, that whole branding took off too. Like I remember going to a game with my dad. We were pre-gaming at our bar, and the bartender was wearing an original 614 t-shirt.
Yeah.
I went and I bought a 614 hockey t-shirt. I bought the Kivy hat at the same time. Those are my two decent pieces of 614
Yeah.
merch to support Fef. And we've known Fef, like he is such a popular guy around just the whole central Ohio area.
Hmm.
Think about the kind of reach that he has
Yeah.
with just local areas and wanting to build rinks and expand brands and expand his love of hockey, right?
Yeah.
And that's what happened with the fifth line thing. It first took off as a hashtag to like push us for the playoffs and get us through that series.
Hmm.
And then they started making bracelets, and we started, getting the bracelets at the Canon meetups. And
Yes. Yeah.
eventually they started making more merch, and it just took off from there and started building this huge community of not just, bringing the fans together, but getting creators.
Yes. Yeah. Definitely. People to help create content, merchandise, all that stuff.
Nasher was huge
Yeah.
after a while, when
I
the
also
like
think of someone like Lindsay too.
I think of Lindsay, yeah. Um,
Lindsay has gained such a following these last few years for both the Blue Jackets as well as the Bengals too.
yeah,
Uh,
just her own
her
fandom.
overall presence online.
Yeah, and same shout out to
Like I
our friend
remember doing
our friend
Zoom.
Jules, our new friend Jules, doing the same
Yes,
thing.
yes, love Jules. Jules is
She's
so
great.
um yeah, you meet some really really cool people that way. So
Jeremy and Laura, two of our
yep,
best friends from when we originally joined THPN,
can't
and
forget.
now the two of them and Lance are with Inside the Rink now. And I did want to shout out Laura. I hope she's doing okay
Hmm.
because Laura's going through some health stuff.
Yeah.
Um, but it really all started with pretty much just Jordan and Matt, right? Jordan and Warren and
It's
Matt.
crazy
It
to think
was like,
about, yeah. And how things are tied back to them for sure. They deserve a lot of credit for what they've done. I think
yeah,
they've done a
because they
hell of a
have,
lot good for the community. Uh,
when you get to a certain point where it comes to a head and you're working with the organization itself.
Yeah. Like to me, like fan bases are
It's engraved in the arena rafters, guys. Like, well,
yes,
it's like in the
like at the top, at the
at the
top.
top of the seats.
Yes. Uh, fan bases, especially one like the Blue Jackets, is in essence a community.
Yeah.
And you think about the impact that those two have had on this community is it's honestly hard to even like I'm sure they probably have moments where they kind of sit back and think about like, geez, like look what we started here.
Yeah, this is crazy. This, like, looking back on it is actually insane.
Yeah. And I just obviously for my sake, I hope for it and for your sake too, but for everybody's sake, and especially two guys like those, I just want this team to get it fucking right and get back to winning because this fan base deserves it. This community deserves it.
And we deserve more growth too.
Yeah.
Not just us as a show, which, if I can get a little selfish,
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
if I can get a little selfish, because
yeah, but yeah,
we're finishing our 3rd season doing this show, and we still could use a lot coming from you guys. You got to subscribe to the channel. You got to interact with the Twitter posts. You got to share the videos when they come out. Every little bit you got to comment in the comment threads and on Twitter and all that. Any little bit of engagement helps us out to reach more people.
Yeah.
And grow the community even more. Not just for us, but for the whole fan base.
Definitely.
So that's my little like and subscribe spiel, I guess.
Like, subscribe, unsubscribe, resubscribe.
I don't know if that actually helps.
It doesn't, but
no.
Why not?
Well, yeah, like the fifth line thing, as cheesy as it sounds now, a decade later, because it's very much copying the 12th man. Let's be real.
Yeah, but I mean, every sport's got that, right?
Yeah. It's just I don't know why it feels so special here. Because it, like,
we see it with a time that the Blue Jackets finally turned the corner from being an absolute doormat to being less of a doormat, but still being a doormat.
To like actually gaining attention.
Yeah, it's the first time they gained attention, and I think it's the first time the fan base ever had hope. Legitimate.
And the fact that it became like part of not just like the fan base identity, but like part of the organizational identity at the same time.
Yeah, that's why I think everybody holds on to it, because it's associated with the first true fun memory that we have of this team.
Again,
we didn't
like
series, but everybody will remember the Matt Calvert goal in overtime in game 2 against the Penguins.
Foligno's goal in celebration on his knees.
His goal, and then Foligno's goal, and even game 6, even though they lost, I think everybody will remember them being down 4-0 and rallying to make it 4-3 and having a shot of pulling even.
Barely getting there.
Like, what a fun series it was. That series happened 10 years ago. I remember so much about that series anyway.
Yeah, and nobody's gonna forget Doobie's personal rivalry with Sid.
Yeah.
To be fair.
Every game except for game 6, which almost happened, had a blown lead in it.
Man.
The Jackets were up 3-1 in game 1, lost 4-3. Penguins were up 3-1 in game 2, lost 4-3. Blue Jackets were up 3-1 in game 3, lost 4-3. Penguins were up 3-0 in game 4, lost 4-3. Blue Jackets were up 1-0, lost 3-1. And then the Penguins were up 4-0, won 4-3. Fuck, they almost lost that game. If the Blue Jackets tie that game up, they probably lose that game. And then who fucking knows what happens in game 7 Don't know if you want to score the first goal in that one.
That was in between Vezina wins, right? Like a couple of years
Yes.
apart each.
Yes.
So like Bob was still like peak form.
Yeah, but he had a bad series. Sad to say. Sad to say.
What a ride this whole like decade's been. Not just these last 3 years doing this show, but this whole ride as a fan base.
I don't mean this in any way against you because I love you, but these last
Computer.
What happened?
I thought you were talking about a computer. Like, I gotta go.
Oh, no. I mean, I've loved doing these last three years with you on this podcast, and I don't mean anything against this podcast when I say this, but these last 3 years have been my least favorite of the last 10.
Chalk that up to team success.
That's all because of team success. Fuck, why didn't we do this podcast 10 years ago? That's what I'm asking right now.
I wonder what we'll be like in year 10, right?
Yeah.
Hopefully we'll have a couple of winners in there.
I can't imagine it's worse than this.
We're starting from the ground up, my dude.
We can only hope that the Blue Jackets do the same.
Shout outs once again to Matt Pfeffer, Jordan Mills, Danny Smith, Lindsey Cusson. Oh my God, Ellie Schultz.
Yes.
One of our first friends ever out of the hole. Dylan McWilliams. Oh my God, how could we ever forget the ever-present Dennis Kelly II?
Oh, yes.
And Jim Martin.
DK, yeah.
Jim Martin, the Boons Goons, the original duo.
Yes. Oh, God, absolutely.
Who else was there? Oh my gosh, just
maybe
going
not
down
as
memory
present on Twitter these days, but when I think of 10 years ago, Dancing Kevin.
Dancing Kevin, yep. Yeah. All the parody accounts, like the fan group accounts that we all made, like Ellie was a part of that. Shout out Felino's Flock, who's still doing really good work for Nick's Foundation even now.
Yeah, I remember I have the poster over there. Felino's Flock for their event that they did in 2016 when I met Nick.
Yeah.
It's got signed everything.
It was just what a time when all of us like weirdly popped up as, individual player supporters.
What a time to be alive.
What a time to be alive.
Yeah.
And it was just.
And that's why you and I connected, because I'm a goalie guy and you were,
I was Bob's Cops.
Yeah. So we connected. I wore 72 for Sergei Bobrovsky. So like,
right.
That was it right there. That was our connection right off the rip.
I still remember some of the old tweets from that thing.
Yeah.
Oh man, that was nice to go down memory lane to end it, right?
Absolutely. Here's to another 10 years.
Here's to another 10. Yeah. And we'll be here next week for prediction season.
Yeah, which should be chaotic, I imagine.
Prediction season and probably doing some wrap-up stuff. That'll mean I'll have to go back and re-update the chart, Kepi chart.
Have fun.
Yeah. And we'll see you next week, y'all.
Love you guys.
Don't forget your 200 dogs.
Yes. Only $5.
Only $5 for 200 dogs.
$5 used to buy you a foot long. Now it gets you 200 dogs.
Jake Jackets, a podcast for fifth liners and all puckheads around. Follow the guys on Twitter at Snake Gehringer, GARRINGER, and at by J Ashdown. And subscribe on YouTube or wherever you listen. March on.